Morgen, Sonnenschein. Welcome to Azerbaijan. I think we get off here. I believe we get off here. Ooh, is that a wall? That's cool. We have our own our hostel room in Azerbaijan, and this is really nice because they have both American and European plug outlets, first of all. Second of all, they give us robes and towels and shoes and soap, which is really awesome. View isn't much, but I wonder what that thing is. There's a couple of things I find interesting outside my window, so it's pretty cool. I was doing so well not using Russian, and then the guy at the front desk, and I had to use Russian for that. So yeah, I mean, not that it's bad for me to use Russian, but yeah, it's. I mean, I'm happy to use my skills. But very, very beautiful hostel here. Definitely would recommend if anyone comes here. Damn trees. Oh, that's cool. Flame always burning. Fire mountain. Yanadag. Look at the Cinnabon menu. Look at it. They had a whole store for Cinnabon. I mean, not just, I mean, a whole store. Like, not in just in the mall, just a whole bloody store. They don't sell this at Cinnabon in where I come from. This is, they have shakes here. I am jealous. So we are in Azerbaijan. The first 2 days have been quite interesting. Well, when we got off as soon as we got to the hotel, thank God we managed to check in early. As soon as we got there, we just showered because we hadn't showered for like 2 days.
I think it was 3.
Meh. Anyways, and then at about 11 we just headed out. And we were searching for the world's largest KFC since that was supposedly in Baku, but apparently it got closed down, much to our disappointment. Or actually not much my disappointment, much his disappointment.
I like fried chicken.
I don't think I've even eaten at a KFC in the United States.
Wait, you're missing out on something. You're missing out on fried chicken, the best food known to mankind.
I don't particularly like fried chicken. Oh yeah, after that we went across to the mall and we found out that, okay, so you know how Japan has this thing where they celebrate KFC and they have like, in other countries have like different things like in their fast food chains that they don't in the original country? Well, apparently their fast food chain of choice here is Cinnabon. They have shakes at Cinnabon. We had this cinnamon roll that was draped in caramel sauce and it was really good. And they have like milkshakes there, like mixed with coffee, and it's well, aside from the coffee taste, it's just, why don't we have this in the original Cinnabon? And they have like own Cinnabons, like it's an individual store, not just part of a mall, but individual stores. It's very amazing. And then we just got pastries at a bakery across the street. And then we decided to go to the old town and look for this palace. And we got lost. We got terribly lost. Baku's old town is a maze. It's like Ndina, where the walls are high and everything and the alleyways are narrow. But
it's bigger.
It's much bigger. And you can't tell what is what. Yeah,
the signs were also useless. That also
then nothing was in English.
Well, it was in English, but like the sign location, the signs didn't really point the correct way. And then when you got close to a thing, sometimes the signs would disappear altogether, which was
the signs brought us in a freaking circle.
Like, we circled around the palace, like, at least twice. Yeah. Because, like, when you get close to the palace, the signs to the palace disappear. They're like, oh, you know where you are, bitch. And then, like, we didn't. And that was rough.
Oh yeah. And then we were walking. It was raining and yucky and cold, by the way. So we were walking around, and then we ran into our new friend, pretty much. We were walking by, and all of a sudden, there's this guy out there smoking like pretty much everyone here. And obviously we're tourists, so yeah, that's where we're from. We're like, he invites us inside, and he gives us free tea and baklava, and he basically and we ended up talking for like about 2 hours about travel, about culture, about all kinds of different stuff. And we ended up arranging a tour for the next day to go see a bunch of sites all around Baku. So that was cool. And then we finally found the damn palace. And
he pointed us towards the damn palace. He was like, oh, it's that thing over there.
And then just like, it was right there this whole bloody time.
We just circled around it because no sign would tell us what it was.
Yeah. And then we went down to the seafront and saw Mini Venice and the Crystal Hall where Eurovision was. Yep, that thing. Yeah, we saw like the Mini Venice. Apparently there were some other kind of games that happened in Baku. We had dinner at this traditional Azeri restaurant and walked along the shoreline and saw the city at night. The flame towers are really cool. They constantly change from like, sometimes they'll be like as the Azerbaijan flag, and then sometimes it'll be like they're on fire, sometimes they're like filling with water, sometimes it's this guy like waving a flag, and it's really cool. That was yesterday. And today it was a lot warmer. He hired like a driver. They took us everywhere. They took us to like this mountain that was eternally on fire. Like no matter, even if it rains or no matter how far the wind blows, it's always on fire. And it was so warm it was so warm. We were in the mountains. It was cold, and then we went to the fire temple, which was really cool. Apparently, it's a Hindu site. I didn't know Hinduism reached that far. And then we went to this cultural museum, and then he took us to this really awesome place for lunch. We ended up talking for like about another hour. And apparently, the place we took for lunch used to be a very historical site, and it still kind of is.
It was a site where the camels, I guess, like the camel caravans would go from like all around carrying merchants and their merchant goods and stuff. And then when they got to Baku, they needed some place to put their camels, so they put the camels there, and then you could see the places where they would have had camels and watering holes for the camels and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Then we went to Maiden Tower, which was cool. Then we walked around the old town and purposefully got lost this time. Yeah, this guy told us like everything, like all the interesting things around the area, like the history and the customs in the area. Basically the good rest places to eat, pretty much everything that you need to know when it comes to tourism. If you're ever interested in traveling, just let me know. I'll let you know information about the guy. And then when we saw a bunch of shops, people were selling not just like carpets and shawls and stuff, but they're selling this. I looked at them just like, they're just selling their old Soviet stuff. They're selling, I can tell because the old Soviet stuff that's made out of aluminum, like this, like they used to make all the stuff out of this really cheap aluminum. I remember because in the Museum of Communism in Hungary, they had a whole exhibit about it. They're selling all this old aluminum stuff, aluminum samovars. They were selling like old Soviet cameras and stuff, and all old Soviet tape recorders. And then they're also selling old Soviet medals, and I got a deal for 3 for 20 manat. This one was one to commemorate, I guess, Lenin's birthday. It was apparently at a jubilee. This one was a celebration for all those in 1975 for celebrating all those living who actually fought in the Second World War. Apparently, like 14 million of these were given out, so I guess I could see why many people are selling them. Because Soviets gave out medals for anything. If you had 6 kids, they would give you a medal. and which, don't get me wrong, having six kids is pretty hard. And then I got this, which was medal for labor, a laborer's medal. Yeah, that if you were a hard worker, they're like, yeah, here, have a medal. The Soviets had the prototype of participation trophies. Kitchen appliances. They were selling old Soviet rubles, which I kind of wish I bought, but they'll probably sell more in Armenia. They were selling all kinds of stuff. I remember one of them was selling an iron cross, and one of them had selling a medal, and that was, I think it was part of some kind of Nazi allied medal. And I'm just like, oh gosh, no, I live in Germany, I can't bring that back with me. Tomorrow's our last day in Baku before we leave. I'm thinking about going to the old Soviet circus and maybe up to the TV tower. Yeah, keep you posted. What's your favorite part about Azerbaijan?
Favorite part? That's actually very difficult. I think just wandering around the old city.
Yeah. I like the fiery mountain, that was cool. Or seeing the palace, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun things.
Yeah.
Just meeting Nick was interesting.
Oh yeah, I'm just meeting him.
Just talking to him was interesting.
Yeah, he was fun to talk to.
Did you learn any new words?
Words? What?
New words in Azeri?
In Azeri? It's like the solid year is like turn or something.
I know. Chihish is exit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
Mm-hmm. There's Melimat.
Huh?
Melimat? It's like a hello sort of thing.
Oh yeah, salam, yeah. And today we pretty much just wandered around the old town, and I kind of have to make this brief because we have roommates and we don't know how long they're going to be gone.
Oh, you're vlogging? Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're talking about Azerbaijan anyway, so.
Yeah, so we're back on the Soviet train, and I almost lost my passport today.
Does your mom watch your videos?
Nope, thank God.
Yeah,
if she did, she would have known I went to Poland alone. So
well,
this is something I'm probably not going to tell my family for about maybe 3 to 5 years. I almost lost my passport because I kept it. I was stupid and kept it in the same pocket as my phone, which I take out to take pictures all the time. And when I was, thank God, it fell out of my pocket when I was at a restaurant. Because it's like I was checking my pockets, we were going down the escalator for the metro. I'm just like, oh my gosh, my passport's not here. I checked everywhere, and I was started freaking out. But my first instinct was like, okay, I gotta go back to the restaurant. Maybe I could check there. I mean, I had little hope, but God was on my side because it was there. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I still kind of feel panicked about what could have happened. That would have just been absolutely awful. We'd have to cancel everything about this trip. It would have been awful. I would have had to get a new visa. Oh, thank the Lord.
I'm still not sure what to think about Azerbaijan, honestly.
I find it charming. It's like Baku is like a very small polished gem in the middle of a bunch of rocks.
It feels, I don't know, I think like what makes Baku really interesting is that it feels very European despite like, well, being in Central Asia basically. But being pretty European is kind of what makes it less interesting than Georgia. Like when we were in Georgia, it seemed like the infrastructure was very limited and we could do things like explore the fortress by ourselves, and there were no like plastic signs telling us what was what, and it didn't feel like a super touristy experience or like a super planned experience. And most of the tourist attractions in Baku felt pretty planned, and the city is also like pretty planned, and it feels like less of an adventure because it feels so much like Europe. But I guess that's the really cool thing about Azerbaijan, is that it does feel a lot like Europe despite the location and like not being Christian like most of Europe and stuff.
Yeah. Everyone there was like, everything there was like really secular. I guess that's still part of like what remnants of the Soviet Union, but you don't really see much Soviet influence there at all. It's like they kind of just like shoved out all their all the stuff like from the Soviet Union. Like, Soviet Union? What Soviet Union? We're modern, we're hip, we're fancy.
Hip, modern, and fancy, this fucking train. Please tell me again that this thing is hip, modern, and fancy.
Except for, well, the train goes from Tbilisi. They could blame Georgia for that.
This is, did you see the pillow? It says ADY, that is Azerbaijan Railway something or another, right?
Yeah, Georgia provides the train, Azerbaijan provides a nice, awesome bedding.
I'm pretty sure Azerbaijan provides the entire train.
Did you look at, if you saw all the other trains at the train station, they were all modern and fast bullet trains.
No. Like, the one right next to us is pretty old, too.
Well, most of them are really modern, shiny trains. Seeing some of the underpasses and some of the places that really you expect to be absolutely filthy, absolutely, like, disgusting, were, like, all made out of marble, and they had, like, these fancy designs on them. And it was just, oh my gosh. It's like that. That was interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. They were still kind of dirty. Like, the cleaning could use some work, but they all looked really nice still.
We saw a lot of people cleaning that stuff often. While we were like visiting one of the Black January memorial, there was somebody like currently cleaning things as we spoke. Yeah, we had lots of tea in Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of tea. I fell in love with the tea. The tea was nice.
Turkish tea, but Russian style, I guess.
And yeah, they put a lot of sugar, and today we put jam in the tea and everything, like true Russians.
Mm-hmm.
And people did come up at us and speak at us in Russian. I told you looked Kazakh / Kyrgyz enough to pass as someone who could speak Russian.
Mm-hmm.
They kept thinking I was Russian.
You look very Russian, though.
Yeah, apparently everyone here and the McDonald's guy in Freiburg find that in common.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
McDonald's guy in Freiburg was Turkish, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it's not just people here. It's in Georgia too. Probably it's gonna be in Armenia if we can cross the border.
Well, in Georgia, so many people don't speak English at all that even if, like, we don't look like we'd speak Russian, like, we sure as hell don't look like we speak Georgian. So
Yep. This is gonna be put my Russian skills to the test. I should when the internet zone drops, I'm probably just gonna mostly study my Russian if I can't sleep. Oh yeah, and the Cinnabons are great.
Is it that kind of thing? I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find more Cinnabons like that in the rest of the world. I haven't seen one though.
Yeah, I don't know one that sells shakes and puts caramel sauce on cinnamon buns. Snowman! Oh no, Jesus, what is this?
It just screams, "Welcome to the former Soviet Union."
So I swear he's probably running drugs across the border.
No, we saw him load drugs into the back seat. If Armenia wasn't so inhospitable for English speakers, I wouldn't mind getting married there.